going to be talking Stranger Things Season 3, or Stranger Things 3, Chapter 5, The Flayed. And joining me today is my Stranger Things crew, Fandom D. and Alicia Kingston. Whoever wants to talk first, uh, do so now. So I mute.
Greetings. Greetings and salutations. Thank you all for coming back for a new lovely edition of What the Hell is Going On in the Upside Down. Let's get into it.
Hey, old Phantom D saying here, your residential Cersei lover and Dustin defender. Because remember, Dustin did nothing wrong. I cannot wait to talk about episode 5 of season 3, Stranger Things, with AK and Mackenzie and the people within the live chat.
Yes, exactly. So we've got a few people in the live chat. OTDA, OT Angel, Bravosi Broadcast, Danny McKay, some person named Alicia Kingston, I don't know who she is, as well as some guy named Fandom D. Saint. I still don't know who they are, but yeah. Um, so this, I guess we'll talk about Dustin because this is kind of where the episode. Oh, and hello, Mary Jade Skywalker. So we start kind of this episode in the elevator with the unofficial, official Scoops Troop as they become themselves. Steve, Robin, and Dustin are basically plummeting into the elevator, and some stuff happens. So let's talk about it. So what did you guys think about that?
I am still of the notion to say, fuck them kids. This whole plot was just not planned out. The party did not do their research. You know, to take it back just a little bit to last week's episode, and they dilly-dallied after opening the damn box and finding the secret of the ooze. Instead of getting the hell out of Dodge, they had plenty of time, but they didn't. And now we are here, stuck in some random, what the hell is the dude's name? Alcohol Lake-esque scenario from X-Men, and it's just all bad. All bad completely.
So, minus the whole fuck them kids that AK just loves to say. But yeah, you can't really blame them because they didn't know like what to truly expect the moment they freaking found that ooze, and suddenly the elevator just took them down. But hey, you gotta admit, when the freaking Russians came, they freaking hid. When they had to escape, they escaped, and they just went along with the freaking plan.
There was no plan. You
At
cannot
that
make it
point,
like
the
that.
plan was to escape. It just went along as it went along. I do have to say, Erica, you see some freaking green ooze ish and you want to drink it. Really?
Seriously. First of all, she's probably the smartest person in that damn room at the moment. You should know better, young lady. You and your undercover nerddom knowledge should have known that you don't drink the creepy shit that's sitting in a damn Russian bunker.
Yeah, exactly. And Danny McKay's comment is basically just sums up what we're all thinking. F them kids, and then lights a dookie. so I was like, yep, exactly. This whole sequence, they had to have something dramatic happen. I'm surprised that an elevator in a mall can go down that far. That's like, what, 100 stories, it seemed like, because it was quite a while.
I
That
wouldn't
it could
say
go down.
exactly 100, but a very significant amount.
And yeah, they're just. And then Erica just like dinging the thing against like the metal. And then Robin's like, oh no! It's like in this season you get, you get the continuation of Steve being mom of the year, but then you also get Robin as the one who's like trying to help him, help him along. Um, and yeah, and then once they are able to get out of the elevator, kind of, because their scenes are quite short. Um, he's like, Steve's like, I hope everybody is physically fit, and he's like, I'm looking at you, roast beef, and it's like, Dustin's like, hey. It's like,
I mean,
it's
you
like,
know, I gotta feel him though, and that's not, you know, fat shaming at all. Y'all saw me at the con. I have some extra pounds myself, but if you're going to go on a Goonie mission, you cannot be chunk. The physical demands are just too ridiculous sometimes, and the nonsense these kids have to go through. I'm still calling shit on the fight that's coming up after they leave this corridor. Also, Steve's first fight that he wins is against a hardened, well-trained Russian soldier. I don't buy it.
Come on, in your army, you're gonna have your fodder soldiers where they're gonna get their ass kicked by kids. Has to be,
You
equal
researched
amount of good soldiers and just, your fodder soldiers, an
Nah.
equal balance.
Have you researched Russian militia training? There's no weak person in that group. Stop it. Even the scientists could probably kill you with their bare hands.
Really? We saw this in this episode. That 2 scientist dudes could not kill Hopper with their bare hands.
Hopper had a gun.
And
So
with their
did they.
training, they couldn't easily.
And what happened? What happened when Russian Terminator came through?
But that's Russian Terminator versus those 2 scientists
That's
that
like
couldn't do
saying
anything.
people going into our army aren't actually trained to fight and kill. Also, not possible.
yeah. The Russians, they could be crazy, but yeah, they kind of because they kind of get tipped off, but not tipped off by the Russians because Steve decided to relieve himself, and then the commentary is like, "Oh, do you smell anything?" or whatever, and there's like, "No, you weirdo." But that's how they're able to get out. But yeah, it's just. But before they get out, when they're first stuck, Erica's like, Trina is the one who covers for me. She's like my homie. But then if I'm not home for Uncle Jack's birthday, then all hell breaks loose.
Exactly. Another reason I've been side-eyeing Erica, and if you watch me and Lauren's reactions, you know I called Erica on her bullshit a couple episodes ago. You, ma'am, all this, you're a nerd and blah, blah, blah. No, Erica, I see right through you. And how many of these random misadventures have you been on to declare that your bestie is always going to cover for you? What the hell you be doing? Just saying.
She's been on those ice cream runs. That's what it is. She makes sure she goes to the freaking mall, get her ice cream, and then she pretty much got a home girl to make sure that, hey, she's not at the mall getting ice cream. That's those adventures, AK. It's there.
No. I don't buy it.
Yeah, she's at the park instead of the ice cream parlor.
I mean, she showed up for the damn mission in full gear. Dustin wasn't even that prepared. And he's been through this shit before.
Yeah. She's just she's so funny because then Steve is just like, dude, he's like, I don't care. It's like if you or like Tina or Uncle or your mom, it's like we're gonna get stuck here. So everybody in the chat's talking about Ninja Turtles and Stranger Things.
The secret of the ooze.
Yeah. I'll have to because I'm not too sure about the whole reference. I'm like, I'll have to go look it up after.
I keep forgetting how young you are.
Yeah.
Even I know that. We're
Right.
the same age.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 2 from the 90s, Secret of the Ooze. It was that was literally the title. And that's what we have here. Erica wanting to drink the damn Secret of the Ooze. And then it turned out to be acid water. And you still want to do that, little girl? Stop it. Stop touching shit.
Yeah, when Erica looks at her, it's like, would you still want to drink then? And she's like, no. That's just, they're funny.
Shout out to T-Baby. I'm going to have to quote her right here. Stop touching shit, Erica. Do not pull a Jorah. Never go full of Jorah. Stop it.
Stop touching. Yeah, stop touching. Yeah, and then obviously they get into... they get out, and then they're walking down, and yeah, they find that there's with the radio that someone's still speaking in Russian, but because that it's coming through so clearly that they're around somewhere, so they're gonna go and try and find this, and then they obviously get into the lab where the Upside Down is, and this becomes kind of a location that's used over the next couple of episodes. What did you think about that? They were able to find it in the basement, basically, of the mall, in this whole kind of sequence. I know we lightly talked about it, but yeah, like the Russians and getting more involved.
I question how, in the very obvious hiding that they were doing, did no one in that room see them? Like they weren't as stealthy as they thought they were, in my opinion. Someone should have noticed, but I guess they were, they had their head in the experiment, so they weren't paying that close attention because they didn't think their fortress could be breached. So yeah, I'll give the what is it, Scoops Troops? I'll give them some cool points for that.
Well, I'm happy they pretty much learned this episode that, hey, they're in Hawkins for a reason, and that reason is the freaking Upside Down, And when they were like walking, like Robin was like, "Why the hell are they here of all places?" And Steve and Dustin are like, "Hold up, it's only like one logical reason they could possibly be here experimenting and stuff, and that's the Upside Down." So now they truly have to worry about, okay, these aren't just simply Russian spies, trying defeat the U.S. No, well, kind of still, but they're trying to deal with the Upside Down, which is pretty much bad news for them.
Yeah, because I think she says that they're like a pit stop on the way to Disneyland or something like that. Hawkins is a pit stop on the way to Disneyland, so why are people like so invested in Hawkins? It's like, yeah, that's what I think too. If I wasn't involved, like if I was like a relatively new person to this problem, I'd be like, what? Why is everybody like so interested in this? But Robin, she gets roped in a bit more. Yeah, they have the Steve finally winning a battle, and even Dustin's so proud. He's like, "You won!" Because I think it was brought up last episode that he fought Jonathan, and Jonathan won, and then all the other fights that I guess Dustin knows of that Steve had fought, he always lost. But
I think there's only that too. Honestly, he doesn't seem like the fighter type.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it was never like a fist fight, but yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's just so funny because it's just like, wait, you won! But yeah, that victory's kind of short-lived because they obviously, well, afterwards they're gonna get noticed. And more shenanigans carrying on. But yeah, I think that's it
for them. I think that is where they left the episode. Yeah.
Yeah, because this, like we were talking about pre-stream, that this is more of like an in-between of episodes 4 and 6. So
Yeah, not exactly filler per se, but it was just setting a lot of breadcrumbs.
mm-hmm.
It's like you said in like earlier streams, Mackenzie. It's like the season. It's like in couplets. It's like for 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, then with 5 and 6, just to get you to continue to that next episode. In case like you're still hungry for off the previous episode. Like watching episode 4, you're like, wait, I gotta watch episode 5, and then after watching episode 5, how it ends, you're like, I gotta watch episode 6. It's like they edited pretty well this season.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, because like we've mentioned before, I think it's meant to be watched technically as an entire movie, so to speak. That's why it's marketed as not season 3 technically. It's Stranger Things 1, Stranger Things 2, 3. It's because it's supposed to be like a movie that's chopped up. So that's...
Yeah, they labeled them as chapters of a book, which makes sense. I like how they do that.
Yeah, it's a cool way to do that because most TV shows are just episode 1, 2, 3, or like part 1 of part 2 kind of thing. But then next we can go to Hopper, Joyce, Alexi, and Maury. Or we can go with the kids and Jonathan, Nancy, all the fun stuff. Where do you want to go?
Let's go with Hopper and
So
Joyce.
this is kind of where the episode sort of starts afterwards. Is that Hopper and Joyce are being followed by a Russian, and in this, or go to a location where presumably the energy for the magnets is, and they meet Alexei and another scientist before Gregory, who is Russian Terminator, shows up, and fights ensues, and some gunshots go off. So, what did you think about Alexei and all of that fun stuff that happens?
Hopper sure does let himself get riled up very easily. After they escape from the Terminator, and he's trying to fix the ride. Alexei notices what's happening and tries to get him to stop. And Hopper, being Hopper, is like, yeah, shut up, Smirnoff. You don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. And then the car proceeds to blow up. Luckily, Joyce and her mom's spidey senses jumped out the cab quick enough. Otherwise, this might have been a very different ending for this episode. So, Hopper, damn it, calm down sometimes. I heart you, but get it together.
For me, Hopper, you just need to do some more cardio or something. Because every time when Hopper's just fighting this Russian dude, the freaking Russian dude's almost like getting the upper hand. And even within that fight, Joyce throwing the freaking gun. Come on now.
You know what that reminded me of? You remember that scene in The Fifth Element where Bruce was trying to ask the deaf dude to get him the gun, and he throws the damn pool table balls? That was Joyce in this moment. I need her to go to practice.
Also, isn't throwing a gun very dangerous in case it misfires? You'd think that
extremely so.
Mm-hmm. So because it can be relatively very sensitive. So it's I'm kind of surprised that it didn't just fire after it landed, even though it probably wouldn't have hit anybody. That it would do so, and then it's comedic, but then it's also not, because it lands basically next to Russian Terminator, and it's just Joyce, why? But yeah, they take the man who becomes Alexei hostage, and this is gonna just rub Hopper the wrong way for a couple episodes. It's gonna be one of those things where it's because it's just an extra person who he can't communicate with very well. It's just gonna bother him so much. But that's the joy about kind of watching Hopper, is just he gets disgruntled so easily. So yeah, it's just one of those funny things.
Very true. I did also really like the scene in the gas station, because they go immediately for the drinks. I think Joyce and Hopper grab just some random cans, but Alexei, he grabs a Coke, because back then Coke was a big thing all around the world. So he's drinking his Coke. And Hopper goes full Miami Vice. Don Johnson commandeers this random dude's car to try to hurry up and get to Murray. And Murray is always Murray, and unapologetically so. And I hope he stays that way, because he's absolutely awesome.
The product placement in this freaking damn series. With this episode, you have freaking Coca-Cola, which I don't think, it's been appearing almost every other episode this season. I noticed this so much. My friend pointed it out to me. I was like, wait a minute. Ever since he pointed it out to me, I'm noticing every other so often, Coke is there. And then 7-Eleven. At least with the 7-Eleven, they got me, because now I've been going lately, ever since this season, I've been going to get a cherry, Slurpee from there. So, kudos to you guys. I don't know if 7-Eleven like kept freaking, Stranger Things up. It's like, hey, we want to promote 7-Eleven. Like, what could we possibly think we can actually do? Boom. You got the character of Lexi. But yeah, hopefully, and which we pretty much did see, is that he pretty much went to like the one person that can actually help him out with communicating with him. And it so happens to be that person that we all made fun of previous season about, oh, it's all about the Russians. And that time we was like, oh no, it's not about the Russians, damn. And now it is about the damn Russians. Amazing.
I feel like the tables have turned a little bit here, and Hopper doesn't even notice it, or maybe he does and just glosses right over it. He's doing the exact same thing that Joyce did when they were supposed to have their dinner date. And he got mad at her because she went to the one person she knew could help her make sense of the bullshit that's happening. Hopper flips his lid. But now, because it's his plan now, that's what he wants to do, there's no problem. I need you to get that together, Hopper. Random nitpick, that's all.
Yeah. With like 7-Eleven and the slushy, why do I feel like there could be even though it may be late to-do list, but it's like Alexi is like a Alexi with a slushy is like a 7-Eleven exclusive Funko, because you know how they did that.
It will be. It will. I can see it now, honestly.
Into existence, yes.
Because they did the one that what was it? It was Steve with the scoops in his Scoops Troop uniform. So it's like, there you go. And then like the Chase one is like with a strawberry or whatever. It's like, because it's like with Jerry.
I can't even blame
Strawberry.
Alexi for that. I'm sorry. I've been taken hostage. If I can use this random little bit of leverage just to piss you off,
Yeah.
I'm petty like that. So I absolutely respect Alexi's petty. I enjoyed watching all of that.
Yeah, and it was like the whole thing with just the cherry slushy, because even the guy at the at the gas station who works there is like, "Are you some like undercover cop or like something like that?" And he's like, or like what is it? It's like some random person. He's like, "No, I'm like a cop. I'm undercover," and it's just like, what? Because we know like. We've kind of talked about it, the undercover references of Miami Vice and Magnum PI kind of thing. So it's just like that they can reference it in themselves. So they're like, no, this is not what I'm trying to do, even though it is exactly kind of what they're doing. And I just also find it very funny that Joyce, when they're in the gas station, she calls Karen. And I guess Karen thought that they were all at the movies. I guess that was their activity that they were doing when they ran out of Mike's house. It's like, where are you going? The movies? Because even Joyce was confused. They're like, the movies in the middle of the day? But yeah, that's like, because I just caught that on this rewatch. I was like, wait, what? So
that's when you get the cheap tickets.
Yeah.
What to say? Like, that's the best thing. The matinee is way cheaper.
Like by half. Theater prices are so ridiculous nowadays.
Yeah, they're like they're very, very expensive. And then it's the concession stand. Yeah, we kind of talked about. I've talked about all the movie stuff on the podcast, the Fandom 3 podcast. It's coming back, people. It's coming back, and I think there'll be something that we're all working on it behind the scenes, but it's coming back. Life stuff, but yeah, we talked about movie theaters. I think on our third one or second one. So yeah, it's very good. But yeah, they commandeer a vehicle, and I think Hopper didn't even show his badge. He shows like a credit card or his ID. That's like not even his police ID. He's like, I'm commandeering your vehicle, and he's like, where do I go to get this back? It's like, blah 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 station, and it's like, you're not getting this car back. You've been essentially carjacked by a police officer, and yeah, they go visit Maury and Murray, and it's just like, because us, the audience, we know what this character is gonna do and bring, especially when it comes to Hopper and Joyce's relationship. It was just funny for me to watch, because it's like, can you go have your lovers quarrel somewhere else? And they're like, what? No.
Yes, I love that. And we all know Murray's got a decent track record at calling couples so far. So, yeah, I'm with it.
It's like he knows. It's like his intuition. Bye, Johnny. And yes, he wants us to know that that he is talking about the 5 best deaths from the Boys show on Amazon Prime by himself. He's doing a mini segment
Nice.
on Fandom Cast. So,
Oh, cool. That was a good series.
yeah,
It really was, man. I love that. Dark Avengers, like on 9,000. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so he'll be. It should be dropping sometime tomorrow. So, yeah, we got some stuff like that going. But yeah, we got, and it's, I guess for Murray too, it's an interesting thing because he gets to talk to somebody and is like becomes pseudo translator. But like Alexi at the same time is just being funny because he's just like, I don't know what I want to do, like, but he's like talking. It's like almost kind of broken Russian, but not at the same time. So it's kind of funny with Murray, but let's see.
Fandom, what'd you think about Murray for this episode?
One, I'm just happy that he finally came back into the picture. It's like in the first 2 episodes, I'm like, okay, you're not gonna get like Murray back or anything. He was a delight in like the first season. So at one point I was okay, even if we see Murray, he's probably gonna be like one scene or something, just like when it came to like the science teacher. But the way how they just incorporating Lexi into it, it's like okay, we're gonna probably get like more Murray, just like we saw previous season. And he's still, like you said earlier, like he's still matchmaking. Because he pretty much is here the bickering between Joyce and Hopper. And it's like okay, it's obviously why you guys are bickering this much. Just hook up already at this point. So I do love him, and hell, he's still freaking drinking. What is it? We always keep on drinking. I forgot what it is that he's always freaking drinking.
He likes vodka.
There we go. There we go.
Vodka.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, him and his vodka. And it's so funny. He's like, now you have me compromised, because he's like, you brought a Russian, so you have me compromised now. And I think he was like looking through the windows and stuff.
You know who he reminds me of? And I just thought about it. What's the guy's name? John Malkovich's character in Red, the movie. The dude that is a super awesome assassin, but he was given LSD for years in the military, and now he's just ridiculously paranoid, crazy about everything. That's Murray, and I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, it seems like that. Yeah, it's just like Murray is just such an awesome character. We get him through the rest of the season, so nice we have him back. And what did you? Yeah, you kind of talked about that, AK. But like, and the I don't think it's now, but I think it's next episode that Hopper goes on the food run where the slushy happens. But
I believe so.
yeah, so I think that's it though for the Murray plot. But the last thing was when they first show up, he's like, look at the camera, and then Hopper just like lowers down to where the mic is. He's like, look at the camera, and it's like, to your left. And then it's like, what's your name? Jim Hopper, Joyce Byers, Smirnoff. And then it's like, and then Joyce is like, Alexi, last name, I don't know. It's like, it's just that simple like lines that it just the way that it's performed, it just makes it so much money. And then, because I don't think yeah, it's once Murray shows up that I think he gives his last name. Um,
I honestly don't remember, but you're
it
probably
says
right.
it says when it has, because I have the wiki pulled up. It says Alexei, who responds in Russian, "Get that out of my face, you bald American pig." And then Murray says, "I may be bald, but you're the one in handcuffs, Soviet scum."
I did love the back and forth between the two, and he's like talking in Russian with them from the first meeting and in between episodes. It's ridiculous.
It was shady, and I thought that was kind of cool. I also liked how that scene ended up going, but I believe that's in the next episode. So we'll touch base with that next week.
Yeah, because this is, like you said, it's setting up what happens in episode 6 very well and wraps up some of the stuff that happens in episode 4. But I think the last chunk that we have to talk about is all the rest of the characters coming together to figure out what the Flayer, or the Mind Flayer, is doing. That Nancy calls Jonathan because they're technically on a break, I guess, or they've broken up, and she talks about Driscoll and how everything that happened with Driscoll in the last episode, and she's wanting to know where Will is. Although we as the audience kind of know what that is. Were you surprised that they started to converge kind of early, so to speak, for this season? Because I know last season they were more or less separated and they waited until like the last 2 episodes to for everybody to come together, so to speak.
Since it was going to be like less episodes this season, I expected them to like hurry this up by like at least episode 5 or so, because with the whole freaking like 8 subplot, they had to like add in more episodes and stuff, so it's like they had to stretch it out. But yeah, it's good, like they finally, when it comes to like the team, Nancy and Jonathan, and Mike and his like male friends, and then with Levin and Max, all like learning, okay, the freaking upside down and all this mind flare thing is back. As well as when it came to like Dustin, Robin, Steve, they pretty much know about like the upside down through like the Russians. Like at this point, the only group that just didn't know was Hopper and Joyce. Like they are still like wondering, okay, what the hell is going on with these damn Russians? So it's good, like the pacing again with this season. It's like, okay, we're back on track. It's like it's just mirroring that of freaking season 1. It's like, again, don't know why they had to freaking put so much in like season 2. They should have just kept it the norm, the same. But hey, that's just me. But yeah, it was good that we pretty much got like oh my gosh, Nancy, I almost forgot her name. Calling Jonathan's like, yo, we gotta go freaking talk to your freaking brother. Because yeah, something is going on here, and they pretty much all come back together. It's like, yep, it's happening all over again. We gotta do something.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. It was really cool to see how it unfolded and where all of the connection points were. And like Fandom said, they had to move the story along. We don't have time for the Two Towers or the Fellowship of the Ring misadventure where everybody splits up and is in different places. It starts that way, but moves gradually and fairly quickly for their plots, how they usually do them. And I, again, also appreciated that because it kept the story going. That's really good storytelling. The way they did that, everything made sense. It fit into place, and hopefully they repeat that next season.
Yeah, they usually do very well with in terms of pacing. I know last season, because they had added in an extra episode, it kind of slowed down some of the things. But I feel like who knows what will happen next season. We have kind of our cast. I know probably most people have seen this by now, but it's like the cast becomes kind of divided by the end of this season. So who knows what will happen with the storyline. There has to be probably an event early in the first or second episode that kind of rushes them all back together again. Because divided storylines. I don't know if this show can do well with divided storylines, but we'll get there when we talk about the last episode. But yeah, they all, Nancy and Jonathan, go to find Will and the friends, and they basically are they're on the way to go to Mike's house, and Elle is eavesdropping on what's happening with Hopper and Joyce, and Elle is saying that they're going to Illinois, and I guess this was where Maria is supposed to be, sort of. Or I can't remember why else they mentioned Illinois, but they're going to Illinois, and they talk about again how Ella's just using all the seeing, her seeing abilities, which was a point of contention, I think, in the last episode, that she's like spying on people, but they use it, I guess, for good measure in some aspects. So what did you think about the kids coming in this episode? Or kids, preteens.
Yeah, I found a few of these scenes quite comical, actually. Max is in the bathroom helping 11, get random dirt and whatever off of her, and the boys are outside like, why are they taking so long? What's happening? It doesn't make sense that she saw Hopper with Joyce. He was all over me to leave her alone, but now he's walking around with Joyce on a hike, and it doesn't make sense. They're all conspiring against me. No one's conspiring against you, little boy. You're paranoid. Stop it. And do better. And of course, Lucas is still trying to give his love advice when they have the issue with the vending machine. And it was a lot of ridiculousness mixed in with all that too. It was, a little cute, I guess, to see how the kids were interacting at that moment. But then we get to the hospital with all the kids, and a whole bunch of random shit ensues. And instead of properly running away, Jonathan and Nancy are every stereotype of teenagers trying to get away from something in this scene. And I didn't notice it before, but they passed at least 3 doors that had bright red signs saying exit. Went right past all of them to trap themselves in a construction zone. Why? And then even after that, the body melts, the monster comes forth. Why did they stay and watch the whole thing transform? It was knocked out before, the human body started filtering away. She had time to jump over that shit, and they could have ran and gotten the hell out of Dodge. But it didn't work out because teenagers and horror movies.
Yeah, like in a nutshell, pretty much is like an homage to every like horror movie you see, where it's like, well, for starters, what's up with this incompetent hospital? It's like the same woman in front is like not even looking at ID, sees all these kids again. It's like, one, at least she acknowledges that, hey, you all can go in at the same time. But still, she's like, oh, we're all families, our brothers and sisters and stuff. I'm like, what? Like hardly all of you even look the same. But anywho,
Yeah.
even then, when they even went upstairs, it's like there was hardly like anyone else there. And it's like, okay, you're downstairs, and now at one point you don't even hear your coworkers, you don't hear nothing going on at all. It's like, what the hell? But hey, again, horror movie, there's stuff like this. It's like, okay, it's kind of the norm, but at the same time, it's like, where's your instincts? You pretty much, like what AK said, with all these freaking exit signs, you see the freaking monster forming. You don't stay and watch the goddamn monster forming. You run. You still try to look for exits, something, at least grab a weapon. Instead, you just stare at it forming and then disperse. Like, though that whole time, you could have actually escaped.
The whole damn time. There was a whole ass wing of people dead. on that floor and no one noticed. Security doesn't do any type of perimeter checks within the hospital to have seen what was happening. It
Yeah.
makes no sense. But yeah, again, teenagers in horror movies.
Yeah, I think it was to amp up the scary because they haven't really done like the scary, so to speak, really a lot this season. So they just have to do that. But we jumped over kind of one scene, and it's basically them going to um, Heather's house, like the Heather's parents' house slash her house, and they find all the chemicals everywhere. Um, and this is like they're trying to figure out because they assumed early on that it was just an elevated version of what was happening to Mike, but now there's chemicals involved, that this is something even more strange, and they're trying to figure out exactly what's happening. Either it's because they're eating them and they're somehow surviving off of it, or not. Which is the weirdest thing. It's like chemicals, like powder and liquids, and like I think they also overturned the fridge, and there's like something happened with the fridge, but they're trying to, because with having Nancy and Jonathan there, they're able to piece together. It was like, oh yeah, because Tom had a cut on his forehead with a bandage, and they're like, what? Which is their connection, and then then the part two, which is funny, is they get in the station wagon, and Will's like, well, this is my life. It's like sitting in the back seat or like in the trunk. It's just like everybody buckle up. It's like, oh man.
Right. One thing I did appreciate about that though was how nonchalant Lucas was when they were explaining everything. They're like, well, if they ate that stuff, it would kill the human body, and Lucas is like, yeah, it might kill you if you're human, but I don't think that's the case. And he didn't bat an eye saying that, and just kept going with the conversation like it was completely normal.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, okay. Well, I guess now, for what they've all kind of been through, that nothing should really phase them anymore. That's related to anything of this sort, because everything changes half the time anyway. So I'm surprised that they're all like, oh, why is this happening? It's like, because this is this show, and this is what your life has been like for the past year and a half. So it's like, or 2 years now. So it's like, come on, get with it. Chemicals and soil isn't the worst thing that could happen. But what did you think, David, about that house scene where they still had surprisingly left everything normal minus the chemicals? So and that conversation.
Yeah, like I remember this freaking scene. But it is interesting enough, like, you bring it up. They've been through this so much that at this point, just either question it, or you just roll with it. That's what pretty much Lucas did. He's like, what? That's what pretty much we're doing? Just keep it going. Keep it going. The less questioning, just try to get to the next situation at hand.
Oh yeah, and I remember this, and I forgot. This just popped into my head. It was because Elle was talking about, like, oh yeah, she's like, because she realized that when she went into the void, and she saw Billy, and she's like, Heather was screaming, and it's like, and it was like the specific type of scream, and Dustin's like, a good scream, because like,
Oh, yeah.
Max said.
Right. Yeah, she called it bad screams, and Mike's like, well, what does that mean? Are there good screams? And 11 starts to answer, and Max is like, no. We're just gonna move on from this topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, like, I guess that was the way for them to like toe that line, because I think this show's PG-13 or something like that. Some weird rating where it's not like rated R, so they can't like talk about that like other types of shows. But yeah, it's just like
They should be able to. You got Nancy and freaking Steve having sex from season 1.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but I guess there's like some watch because it probably got some sort of controversy over that one. So they're like, nope, peel it back. Max, it's like Max said, because like 11 always reverts to what Max says sometimes about this stuff, and then Max is like, oh god, I didn't mean to say it. Like you just start telling everybody what I tell you.
She's
But-
almost like 7 of 9 when she first came on to Voyager and was separated from the Borg Collective. It makes her a bit robotic sometimes in her speech, but she is learning. So I am, again, still happy with the friendship she has with Max now. She needed that.
Yeah, the relationship that she has with Max is obviously much different than the relationship that she has with the rest of the kids her age, and it's good that she has somebody there that's like her age and relatively the same as her to kind of guide her through that, because I could only imagine if they didn't have Max how different Elle's story would have been. Like she'd kind of feel alone half the time, and maybe she may not be able to go to those places that she was not triggered to, but like was asked of by Max almost. It's like unless they would have given it to another character or such, but the way that they have their relationship and their dynamic is something that's so great about this show. But yeah, the last kind of scene, which we kind of talked about already, when they all just show up at the hospital, that lady, she's still on the phone talking random crap, I think to probably her friends or something. It's like, this person said this about me, or blah blah blah. And the fact that she didn't even, like, I guess, clue in, I guess it makes sense for maybe like a few of them to go upstairs or over to Mrs. Driscoll, but not for like all of them. Like if it was conceivably believable that they were all family, like half of them, maybe you could maybe see it, but the rest of them, not so much. And then the one part about the fight sequence with Nancy, Jonathan, and I think it's whatever his name, not Tom, the other one, and I think it's like with hitting Jonathan on the back with the metal chair. It's like, how was he able to walk after that? It's like, that's the one thing I want to know.
Hashtag plot armor. It's the same thing as when John got his face smacked into a very metal heavy anvil at the Battle for the Wall in Game of Thrones. Jonathan should not have been able to get back up that easily, but plot armor.
And it's almost like it's plot armor, and it's like one of those things where I guess you could write it off as like the will to survive / it's almost like the mama bear thing, but for Nancy, almost, because it's like women can lift a car if they need to, kind of thing. So I don't know, but the way that they filmed the fight sequence kind of thing between Jonathan and Tom, and never remember his name, and Nancy, Bruce, there you go, Bruce. I very much enjoyed it because I think there was a behind the scenes thing, or they had the two actors did a video about, or were interviewed about it, and how to analyze that specific scene, and how they shot it, and to know how to use certain angles and everything. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was like believable that that when one thing was happening to one, it was also happening to the other at the same time, but you didn't see what was exactly happening? Almost. You understand what I'm saying?
Go ahead, BBM.
I was asking you to repeat that again because I didn't even understand that.
Oh, like how if Nancy was to hit Bruce, the same reaction would happen to Tom, but Jonathan wouldn't know exactly what was happening. And so to speak, like when there was the scissors against Tom's neck, Bruce like went down, but
Okay, no,
like that
because
whole
they're connected. That's why. Okay,
yeah.
I get you now. Yeah, that actually is interesting how they. I now have to see that interview that you're referring to now. See how they actually choreographed it. But yeah, the fight scene was okay though. It was a better fight scene than Steve and the freaking Russian that we get later on though. But yeah, but I was surprised that they actually even like won. Because at one point I was like, okay, how the hell are they gonna get out of this? How are they gonna just either escape? Is like 11 somehow miraculously just gonna come out of nowhere and just like defeat the two off? But no, they actually both killed them, and then next thing you know, you pretty much see them like decomposing just like the rat. At one point I was like, wait a minute. So this is what's gonna happen to also them? Because I thought it was just the rat thing that was gonna be decomposing just to form the monster. But then in reality, it was like all these like humans as well can like decompose. So it's like, okay, so maybe we're gonna actually see more of this, in upcoming episodes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Couldn't have put it better.
Yeah, I'll try and find it and send it and probably put it in the comment of this. But yeah, you get spoiled on what happens, kind of, with this when you watch the trailer, because the thing that's called the monster appears, and which is basically just guts and blood from both Tom and Bruce. So, but they kind of spoil you on that in the trailer and then also in the merchandise, which is evident behind from the company that's evident behind Fandom Descent. So yeah, like that's just
The
a
same day it dropped, it was like coming soon. The freaking monster. I'm like, what? So even if you didn't even see the trailers and you're into Funkos, immediately they would reveal that, oh yeah, the monster you're gonna see in the season, we made a Funko of it. And I'm not gonna buy it unless it's like $1 or $2 or so. Then I'll buy it. But I don't know. It does look hideous just looking at it. So it's like, I don't know. Don't hold me against if I don't buy it or I do buy it. I don't know. AK, stop me rambling.
But I appreciate the rambling. There will be no stopping, sir.
no, yeah. Well, it's better, I guess, than what was it? The one for this year for Comic Con, a golden Demogorgon.
Yeah, the chrome and the gold one. I'm just like they did the same thing with Hopper. I'm like, we don't need a gold freaking Hopper. I was hoping that they was gonna do number 8, but it seems how she's still not made into a Funko just proves that her character was pointless, and we wasted our time in season 2 with her freaking character and subplot. God damn it.
The subplot, I'll give you that. That misadventure was unneeded, but 11 did need to learn how to have more control over her power. So for that small instance with her being Obi-Wan, give her a slight pass.
Yeah, I'm just now that we've talked about like Funkos at this moment, I'm just surprised they haven't made like I don't know what it would be called, but it's like Ted in the recliner. It's like he just comes with the recliner. Like, because you know how on Game of Thrones they have like them all on the Iron Throne. It's like Ted in the recliner. It's like he just comes with it. Because everybody else. Because you got Battle 11 and all these other ones, and then you just get Ted in the chair.
I would love it, honestly. I would be tempted to buy that instantly if I actually see that in stores.
And yeah, there's like with so many different things when we come up with this show, specifically like because they haven't made so many characters into them, so it's kind of funny. But I think we kind of talked about everything.
I believe those were the highlights.
So, and wow, we're under an hour. Look at us go so far. But yeah, we kind of got this episode. So, the next,
Ratings?
yeah, go ahead.
I would rate this at about an 8. It was a good episode. It wasn't filler. per se, but it did give us some, juicy nuggets to hold on to and carry over. So yeah, I'll say 8 out of 10 Alexis and cherry slushies.
I would have to agree with that. 8 out of 10. The comedy within this season keeps hitting. I freaking love the product placement of freaking Slurpees. Got me going to freaking 7-Eleven again. Not just because normally I was just going to 7-Eleven just for like a beef patty or some mini beef tacos. But now I'll be going there for a freaking Slurpee. Not for the Coca-Cola Slurpee or the blue freaking Slurpee. No, the freaking cherry Slurpee, damn it. Oh my gosh, man. Alexa, man. Alexa. It took that. It took that. Oh my gosh. Like, what's up with the freaking noise there? If you guys didn't hear that good, then maybe this is actually a good freaking headset. If not, I do apologize for that. But yeah, also just seeing how the pace in the season's good. We're seeing, Nancy and Jonathan, teaming up with, the freaking kids of the freaking show. And what else? Oh yeah, and the return of freaking Murray. Loved it. I enjoyed him in previous season, and not they're gonna give him this like a small cameo like they do with the professor or the teacher, whatever. But instead, he's actually back within the plot, dealing with the whole Russians, the same plot that they kind of pretty much introduced him in season 2. So it was a good like tie-in with that.
Yeah, and just a random sidebar for those of you that caught on with what David said. When he's talking about going to the corner store and like getting a beef patty or a sandwich or something, corner stores in New York are not typical corner stores. There's usually a nice deli or some type of restaurant attached that have the most delicious foods ever. And I'm homesick now. I just wanted to share that.
Oh, AK. Yeah, it's like, when you're talking about that, because I've been to New York 5 times now. Yeah, it's like I've experienced that. It's like, yeah, that's very true. My rating for this episode is 8 long walks, but oh wait, there's much more. It's like, you think that's a long walk? Well, I've seen a longer one, almost kind of thing, with what Scoop's troop has to deal with. Is there anything you got going on channels or what have you coming up, and then we'll kind of wrap up.
Let's see. I'm working hard to try to get all of my editing down so I can post some stuff from Con of Thrones. Besides that, I'm gonna try to set up a few more They Deserved It episodes, and y'all can catch me mostly just in the chats. We always stream hop because we about that stream life. So next week I'll probably be here, and I'll also be live reacting to the season finale for Pose. Shout out to Dorners Wench, my Pose partner in the chat room right now. And outside of that, I don't know. We'll just play it by ear and see what happens. Thank you, Kenzie, for having me on again. It's always fun hanging with you guys. And AK signing off.
For me, Fandom DC, if you want to check out my channel, I do several reactions, recap, and reviews of several TV shows like Stranger Things. I'm pretty much going to be on break on my channel until like September 6th when DC's Titans return. Because I've been pretty much still have been doing nothing but reactions for like some type of freaking show like since freaking September of this freaking year coming around. And it's like normally previous year it was like less shows and I normally had like a freaking month or so break. But this time around it's like no. It's like always like something to react to. But I'm just gonna take a freaking like 3-week break. I also like appear in other people's streams like yours, Mackenzie, even AK. So who knows? But also like AK, American Horror Story coming back in September. We need to get the gang back together.
For sure. We're
Yeah,
going to get it back. Me, you, Andy. Hopefully we can get live on for a couple episodes. Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, okay, we had to talk about this one. They have like that, what was it, camp type horror feel to it?
Yeah,
I'm just getting like Jason vibes right now.
Full
Like,
80s is where we're going.
Interesting, very interesting. Can't wait for that. But yeah, thank you again for having me, Mackenzie, to talk Stranger Things with you, AK, and people in the live chat. As always, Dustin did nothing wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong at all this episode. Or as Donnie would have said, Dustin is the Antichrist. You know, that's what he said last episode. But for me, you can find me obviously here next week where we're going to be talking. I don't even remember that this was the actual title of this episode, but E Pluberis Unum. I guess it's Latin. And or something like that. But we'll be talking about that episode 6 of this season. On Monday, I should be posting my next makeup, Women in Westeros makeup inspired look. The patrons voted on Egret. I'm still trying to tinker with that. Should be recording it tomorrow at some point. But yeah, we'll be doing that. And speaking of which, shout out to the patrons: Bobby Catalano, Catherine Harding, Katrina C, Nancy T, and Dark Mother. Dark Mother was here earlier in the chat. As well, we should be doing some streams coming up. The streams that were promised will be coming up. Just figuring out some scheduling stuff. One including Bravosi broadcast coming on the channel. And so on and so forth. So, with that, we'll see you sometime next week. Bye, everyone.
Asta.
Alexa deserves better.
Yes. Nice.